Hi and welcome to another tutorial. In today's lesson we'll learn how to use the new Generative Fill feature in the new version of Adobe Photoshop. So anyways guys, let's jump in. So the first thing that we have here is we need to talk about the new Adobe Photoshop beta. Now if you don't have the beta, you can always go to your Creative Cloud, and then if you go into your beta apps you can install it that way. And once you've installed the beta, you know that it's beta because it says actually Adobe Photoshop beta. So what I have here is I've got a drone shot that I took just the other day of me at the beach. So there I am down there, and there was someone in the water over there. Now you can't really see, but if I zoom in, I know he's there. And what's cool with this is that now I can go and I can make a quick selection around the thing that I want, and then I can go to Generative Fill and then just press Generate. And now once you've done that, now it will remove that object or whatever it is out of that image. Now you might be thinking, oh, you know what, like we could do this, you know, a while ago using Content Aware. And yes, that's true, but I just feel like it works a whole lot better now. And then you can pick the different variations. And so, you know, like that one, you can't even really tell what's happening. And you can do it for much larger objects as well. Like say, for example, I don't want this in here. I just go back to my generate, and then I can also put that in there just like that. And I think it does a really great job of matching whatever it is that you have to remove from the background, as well as putting it all together and making it look realistic. Now you can see there on that first attempt, it looks pretty good. And if I don't like it, I can always change it up. And when you've zoomed out like this far, like, you know, they all look pretty good. And if you don't like any of them, you can always go and generate it again. So that's one example. I'll show you another example in here. So let's say, for example, I've got this night sky, and you know what, like I just want to make a cloud in here. What I can do is I can go to my Generative Fill and I can write dark sky cloud and press generate. And you can see that it's generated me that kind of cloud. Now that doesn't look the best, but if I go through and, you know, look at some of these others, you know, maybe that one looks pretty good, or I can just generate it again. And so now we have some other options, and I think that one looks pretty good, so I'm going to keep that. And then, you know, you can do the same thing on the other side as well. So again, I can write the same thing. I can maybe write, you know, dark night sky cloud, and then press generate. And so now it's generated me some different versions of clouds, and I think that looks amazing. Now what's really cool with this version of the Generative Fill is when you need to expand your image. So I'll show you what I mean here. So let's say, for example, I go to crop, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold option over here, and I'm just going to expand it a bit, maybe something like that, and then I'm just going to press enter. And now what I can do is, like, let's say, for example, I make a selection which includes all of this, and then I come down to the tools over here, and if I press invert selection, now that's going to highlight the parts that weren't selected before. And then if I go to Generative Fill, and if I just press generate, now it was able to create those outlines, and it was even able to create the extra clouds that go over here. And for not much, you know, effort or work, you're able to extend that image out, and honestly that looks pretty damn good. And you can change the variations up if you like, and pick one that suits your needs. So I think you know, that one looks, you know, brilliant with the extra clouds, but totally up to you. So now I've got one final example I want to show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the magnetic lasso tool, and I'm just going to create a rough mask around all this kind of area that I want to mask out. So I'm just going to go to there, just going to drag that down. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just make sure you close it off in the end. And now what you can do is, if you go back to Generative Fill, and if you just write, you know, create a reflection, And yeah, and within a few seconds, like you can see that the reflection that is created from that mountaintop there, and honestly, like, that is mind-blowing, just straight up out of the bat. And you can have a look at some of the other things as well, and you can see what they have here. But that first one, that looks super realistic. And again, it wasn't really that much time that was involved in actually creating this. Now, I just want to show you one final example with what you can do here. Again, it's all the same kind of stuff. So if I go and if I make a selection of this portrait, now all I have to do is just go back to my generative fill, and then let's just put like old style landscape painting. So we're going to change it from a portrait to a landscape painting. And yeah, and there we have like an old style landscape painting in that area over there. So you can play around with some of the settings, and yeah, if you don't like any of them, you can always regenerate. And so there you go. So here were my options, and I mean, not all of them were great. You know what, like this one actually fits in nice, and it actually kind of blends in with the background. So you can see we went from something like that to something like that in a matter of seconds. So anyways guys, that's it for this short quick tutorial on how to use the generative fill in the new Adobe Photoshop beta. It's amazing where AI is going, and how it's integrated within Photoshop makes it so much more accessible and easier to actually do. I know, you know, people could go to Midjourney, or they could, you know, open up another AI thing and they could just generate in those things. But when you can actually do it straight away inside of Adobe Photoshop natively, I think that is really a game changer, and it will just simplify your workflow if you need to add, you know, something to a picture or whatever it is. So going back to this one, you can see just by adding a few clouds, it really enhances the, you know, optical viewing of this image. And you know, it's just amazing what the technology can do. And even though that it's in the beta version right now, it will only get better as time goes on, and as, you know, more people add things to the prompts, and, you know, it will get really, really good. Just like how Midjourney started off, and then, you know, once people were putting all the prompts in, Midjourney turned out to be a really crazy thing for AI. So anyways guys, that's it for this short tutorial. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.